Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a beginner's support guide and how to get better at your favorite support player. So first thing we're going to do is walk through different types of support classes, and we're going to get you a better feel for when to play what. So first, there's two types of support classes that I like to kind of distinguish the two. Is kind of burst healers or main support, and kind of sustained healers or more utensil type healers or off supports. Now the main supports I consider to be Ana, Baptiste, and Maria. And the off supports I consider to be Brigitte, Lucio, Mercy, and Zenyatta. Now normally what we want to do is have one main support and one off support. Some people like to do double main support, but usually you want main support off support. Now first person we're going to go over today is Ana. Now Ana is considered to be one of the better supports because of two main reasons. First, she has really high burst heals that you can do from any distance away. So a lot of Ana players like to do is find a nice corner or like some secluded spot, camp out, and heal their team from afar. Now this could be a decent strategy, but there's two main weaknesses to it. One, if you get dove by maybe a Doomfist or Genji, you're kind of on your own. You had to ask for a peel. Another thing is, if your team goes out of line of sight, you're not going to be able to help them nearly as much if you are right up next to them. So that's why I like to play my Ana a little closer to the team. Maybe not just like on your tanks like you might play BAP, but a little closer than most supports do. And the main reasons you want to pick Ana are the anti-nade and high burst heals, like I said. Now for anti-nade, the main effect of anti-nade is when you throw it and it hits an enemy target, they get a purple effect, or antied, as some people call it. And when you're under this effect, they cannot get healed by their team. Now this is very beneficial in a team fight, especially when both comps are running really high healing strategies, such as if the enemy team's running a Moria, you anti the enemy team, call that to your team, and then they can focus down the anti targets, and then enemy supports can't do anything to help. Another thing, sleep dart. I see a lot of supports like to hang on to sleep dart until they really need it. I wouldn't recommend this. I just kind of like to throw it off cooldown into a shield or into like the enemy kind of grouping. And you'll be surprised how often that Ryan puts down the shield right as the anti-nade's coming towards, or not anti-nade, sorry, right as the sleep dart's coming towards them, and you get a nice sleep to help out your team. But really for sleep dart, you don't want to hang on to it. You want to use it more often than you think, because I've seen a lot of supports who hang on to sleep dart for like 2 minutes and only use it once they get dive. You don't really want to do that. Sleep dart's a powerful tool, not as powerful as anti-nade, but just using it a lot, you'll get a lot of value for it. Finally for Ana, is her ult, Nano Boost. Her Nano, what I like to do is when there's a tank during like mid-team fight, it's like half health or so, that's usually who I'm going to give Nano. I don't really like to give it to like an opener for like Genji or Reinhardt. I usually like to give it mid-fight. It really can turn the tide easily. However, if you're kind of banking on that Nano Genji, I wouldn't blame you for using a Nano one for an ulting target like Brigitte or Genji. Alright, on out of the way. Let's go on to our next support, Baptiste. Baptiste is another person I see people playing kind of weirdly. People like to go up to high ground, jump move, and heal their team from afar. I wouldn't recommend this for a couple of reasons. One, Baptiste's left bumper, his kind of healing aura, is really, really strong when you're right tightly knit in a team fight. And when it's not very useful when you're just chilling up there in high ground. Another thing, immortality, is I'm going to show you.
Get in here!
It takes a little bit to activate when you throw it from a high altitude.
Get inside!
Now this normally isn't a problem, but I've seen hundreds of times where you toss ammo, and you think it's a good ammo, but then a junk tire or a diva bomb detonates right before your ammo's about to be placed down, and you're really disappointed. So because of that, BAP I consider to be you play right next to your tanks, right next to your team. Because of that, his healing, his secondary fire, has a nice range to it. So you can just like kind of shoot the ground, move up, shoot the enemies a little bit, go back to healing. LB, throw ammo when your team's like about to die. And I think you'll get a lot more value than you think just playing right next to your team on BAP. A good time to play BAP is when your team's running Orisa, Orisa Sigma, Orisa Hog. Orisa is kind of BAP's best friend. If your team's running Orisa, you're going to want a BAP. He's very, very powerful, Orisa on his team. Alright. Also, for Ant Matrix, you're going to want to use that, just like throw it in front of your team at the right when an enemy team runs around the corner, like right up there, throw in the or bat matrix throw out here, and you'll have a good time. Let's just say that. All right. Next support, Brigitte. Brigitte's a very situational support. Her main kit, her main kind of gimmick is just she's really strong when you're right up fighting like a really brawly comp, because every time you hit an enemy, you pop Inspire, which will heal your allies around you. However, if you've ever played Overwatch, you know you're not usually brawling too much. There's usually ranged targets fighting, and you're kind of standing there armor packing, waiting for the fight to get closer to you. So because of that, the two ways I like to play Brigitte are either a really brawly comp, which are pretty rare, or when your team runs an Echo, you can use Armor Pack to give your Echo 50 extra health a lot of the time. This is really helpful for your Echo player, because a lot of the time it's kind of hard to heal an Echo. Because like, think about Bap. It's almost impossible for him to heal Echo with his curved shots. Oh, now you have to, it's not really hard to do it, but you have to kind of focus your attention away from the team to heal an Echo through midair. Moria's range is really low, so Brig's a great way to keep your Echo player up. So like Moria, Brig is a really strong heal comp that I recommend. So that's Armor Pack. Whip Shot is probably your only really ranged attack for Brig. And I just kind of throw that off cooldown as well. The cooldown's really short, and you'd be surprised how often you hit your target. And also you get that Inspire proc, which is really strong.
Bet you didn't see that coming.
Another thing for Brig, Bash. A lot of people like to play her because of the Bash move. You can get stove, you can just bash the enemy, and you can just watch them die. Bash is a pretty easy move to learn. Brig's not really the hardest support to learn her kit, but once you can see really good Brigs, they can just solo heal their team. So yeah. Oh yeah, for her ult, Rally, I'd recommend using that right as a team fight's starting, because that over armor ability that she has for doing Rally is really strong before a team fight starts. Don't really use it as a defensive ult if they ult. Use it right before a team fight starts for your team to move in. You're gonna have a good time. Alright, next, Lucio. Lucio is an off support, so play him with a Moria or Ana. And the main key reason you want to pick Lucio is for your Lucio speed. If your team's running Ryan Zarya, there's not a better pick than Lucio. A lot of Lucio players like to go off on crazy adventures and wall riding shenanigans to like boop hit, destroy, like boop people off the map. Now this is pretty fun at like low SR games, but I couldn't recommend this less than like a Masters or Diamond game. Now for Lucio, his main ability is you get value whenever you're alive as Lucio. You're next to your team, either healing or speeding, and if you're going off on crazy adventures, you're not going to get any of that value. So I'd recommend staying right next to your team, calling your speeds, when you're moving in, when you're moving out, when you're going to give them extra heals of Lucio extra heal move. That's a technical term, by the way. And yeah. Also for Lucio, make sure you're switching back and forth a lot from heals to speed. It's really easy to get stuck in that trap of just speeding or just healing. There's usually a lot of times you can use both, and you can kind of switch back and forth to help your team a lot. For Lucio, never play Lucio if there's an enemy has a Sombra player. Lucio's kryptonite, I guess you could call it, is Sombra. Can't wall ride, can't speed, can't heal, can't boop, can't do anything. So really, if the enemy team's running a Sombra, I just would stick away from Lucio. Alright. Next support, Mercy. This is a fan favorite of many support players, and I can't disagree. You see from my golden gun. And Mercy I'd consider to be an off support for two main reasons. Her healing is kind of low compared to other supports like Ana, Moria, Baptiste. And you can only heal one target at a time unless you have Valkyrie up. I'd pick Mercy if your team already has a main support and you feel like the res would give you a lot of value. Mainly I like it for 2 CP, where you're defending first point. Your team goes maybe Moria Mercy. Let's say your Widow player gets picked early. You can res them, get them back in the fight, and they give your team a chance to win the fight. Another thing for Mercy, JA, her movement abilities are really strong. That's really, you can kind of rush over to a teammate, heal them up, rush over to another one, which makes her a strong off support really to kind of help relieve distress off your main support. Another common use for Mercy is pocketing a Pharah player, Echo player, Ashe player. This can be really strong. Just make sure you don't get caught in that trap of just like standing still, holding damage boost, and then getting headshot by a Widow. You're not doing your pal any good doing that. For Valkyrie, I'd recommend using that to engage in a team fight. and that's about really it. Don't use it defensively. If you see a tire get popped, don't pop Valkyrie to try and save your team from rat tire. It's not going to give you any luck. So yeah. Next support, Maria. Now Maria is a fan favorite of mine, and I'll show you mainly because of her gameplay is really resource based. A lot of people kind of make fun of her aim for being relatively easy, but come on, look at that damage. It's complete trash. So I would really avoid doing DPS Moriaing, I guess you could call it. You should really be sticking by your tanks, sticking by your Rhine players, or Risa player, and really just to keeping them up. Now, another trap to fall in for Moria is to see, ooh, my tanks are low. I'm helping, don't worry guys, don't worry, I'm helping. Guys, don't worry, I'm the best Moria NA. Moria is super easy, by the way. Oh my gosh, I'm so helpful. Hey guys, I'm out of healing, don't take any more damage. No, 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 no. That's not what you do. Moria is all about resource management. If you blow your heal bar, like, in one fight, you're gonna be the worst Moria player ever. Just pick, like, anything else. So because of that, Moria, you gotta constantly trade between taking damage, or dealing damage to get your heal bar back, and using your orbs to kind of sustain you while you get your bar back. For me, I love to just throw healing orb whenever like a team fight gets a little dicey. I almost never use damage orb besides maybe at the start of a fight, or like to kind of into a room. It's a tight room to help my team out in a fight. But normally, almost always, healing orb is the way to go. So look at damage orb. Throw it at these guys.
Is my will.
It is like half their health, and look at that, my dudes are dead. So yeah, Moria healing orb is better in a lot of situations. And this is before the Moria patch, and the orbs kind of go really slowly. Once the patch goes live, you can use orbs to save people a lot better. So let's say healing orb goes like twice as fast as it does now with the new patch. So you can really use toss healing orb to save people. For Coalescence, you're playing Moria, you'll get it pretty quick. So really just use it to engage in a fight once it starts, and kind of like pressure your team, or pressure the enemy team to help you move in. For Fade, I see Fade used really badly a lot. So let's say you're helping your team over here. Things are getting a little intense. Maybe a damage character dives you over here, you fade out of the fight. Alright, that might seem like a good idea on paper, but now you're over here and you can't heal your team. You have to walk back across, and now you might be singled out by that same damage character who was right here, and now you're cut off from your team. So what I recommend for Moria Fade is kind of fade in place a little bit. Because when you Moria Fade, you turn invisible. The enemy team doesn't know where you went. So because of that, they'll more often than not just kind of ignore that you were over there. So kind of fade in place like that, and then keep helping your team out. It's a great way to get the pressure off you and to keep your team alive. Moria is good in almost every situation. I can't really think of a time I wouldn't pick Moria. I guess the only time if you're a really strong Ana player and you want to go for those anti-nades. And yeah, or if your team's getting Dovin a lot, Moria is a great switch because of her Fade ability. It's really easy to get out of a dive, to get your team up, and keep them fighting. Alright, last but not least, Zenyatta. Now Zenyatta is a very specific pick. I wouldn't pick him very often, but whenever I pick Zenyatta, it's with the help of a BAP player. The Zenyatta BAP with a really nice long range attacks. If you're running, let's say, a Risa Roadhog, those extra damage by your BAP and Zen would be enough to break the enemy's shields, so you're not suffering that shield penalty from playing a Risa Hog with only one shield. Another thing about Zen is he has the lowest healing out of any support. However, you can do it from any range, like just like that bot down there. So you can heal, and you can continue fighting. This can be helpful if you have a Pharah or an Echo and you want to give him a heal orb, or just throwing it on a Reinhardt to keep him up longer. I'm really not the best Zenyatta player, so I'm not going to spend too long on him, but really what your main goal for Zenyatta is to call your discords. Discord gives you like extra 25% damage on that character. So if you discord a Rein, you want to let your team know. Say, Rein discorded, and your team will kill him in an instant. I wouldn't recommend Zenyatta for most fights, but if you're a really good Zen player, and your support buddy is playing main support, I think you could have some value with them. Alright, that's all of our support, so a few final touching notes. A lot of people say, oh man, it's so hard to climb on support. And I kind of I could disagree on that term. I think it's support's just as climbable as DPS or tank. And a common saying you might hear me saying is a good support player can take an okay team into a great team. And you can really see that if you're healing 56% of your team's damage, there's not much the enemy team can do to beat you. So yeah, that's my final support video for today. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and